Welcome to Flights, the podcast where we uncork the secrets to running a successful destination wedding and group travel business. Each episode, we will explore the good, bad, and ugly of destination weddings while sipping on the finest wines from our pantries.
As your hosts, we believe in savoring the journey with a glass of wine in hand. Join us, Mario Lopez and Ashley Morris of Destination Wedding University, as we explore all of the adventures and misadventures that we experience in this crazy industry. Yay!
All right. So here we are. Welcome back to Flights. You're on with us today with Stephanie Kilson-Thomas. Hi, Stephanie.
Hey there.
I haven't seen you in person since Mexico, since January.
I know. I miss y'all.
I miss being on that boat, on that island.
That entire trip was so amazing.
Yes, it was.
So for those, actually, let's dive into that right away. For those listening, when we do the playbook, we have a couple events every year that we do that are a time for us to get together, learning experiences, things like that. We have things like the retreat, which are full-on weddings. We throw a full wedding, and we have our advisors as part of the playbook. They come in and they get to see what it's like to attend a destination wedding. We also have these events like Ashley and Stephanie are talking about in January, which are called immersions, which are not quite as in-depth. It's not a full-blown wedding, but we are there instead of doing a traditional fam trip where we're visiting a bunch of properties and we're on the go nonstop. We are actually there on property, experiencing the property the way that guests would. So Stephanie was with us in January, where she got to experience Impressions Isla Mujeres. It was amazing. We had so much fun.
A dream.
It's a good spot. I mean, we really put the bar high for the first one.
Y'all really did.
Be hard to top that.
Next time I'm gonna be looking at them sideways, like, is it gonna be worth it?
There was, when we reached out, when we got the name of the property and we sent it to you guys, I don't think there was one person that said no. Everyone was like, yes, what, when, how much, what do we do?
Right.
Instant,
like,
which was great.
Let me make sure it's okay with my husband first. My mom's gonna be here, so that's fine. I'm gonna go ahead and say yes, though.
That's exactly what you said. You were like, I'm gonna say yes, I'll figure it out. Which you were nicer than me, because I don't even think I told Matt. I was just like, oh, this is happening.
Oh, by the way, I'll be gone.
Yeah, which is usually what I do. So anyway.
Well, so Stephanie, thank you very much for joining us today. I think our structure of this episode is going to be a little bit different than some of our other episodes in the past, because this one, we really just kind of want to get to hear your story and get to hear, that's your journey as an agent, your journey as part of the playbook. And then, of course, just a little bit of kind of messing about as we usually do.
But there's a theme, just to tie it all together. The theme of this one is going to be playbook success stories, obviously, but specifically as it relates to how did the playbook help you leave a career and launch a new one or grow a new one? That's really what, and you have such an interesting story, and you've done this a couple times, which we'll talk about. So I felt like you were super unique to bring to this and tell everybody what you've learned and maybe what you would do differently or not if you had to do it over.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
How did you get into travel initially? Like, how did that start?
Okay, so this is 2017. I had just gotten, let's see, probably like back from honeymoon and everything, got married in 2017. And I had a classmate that reached out to me from high school, and she was like, hey, I think you'd be a great travel agent. You travel a lot, and, you can get paid like booking your own trips and things like that. And I was like, no, thank you. No.
Hard no.
A hard no. I'm good. And the thing is, like, the way she approached me on it was like an MLM, and I had just gotten out of an MLM. I was doing them, I did a couple of them because, my past life, and we'll talk about it. I was a pharmaceutical sales rep. We didn't have kids, just married. So, you're always looking for a little tax break. So I was doing MLM for a while, did okay, but it wasn't like, the best. So when she approached me about it and I started doing some research, and I was like, no, I don't think that this is something I want to do. But she didn't let up and started kind of seeing the benefits of it. And because, my career has always been sales, I was like, you know what? I'll go ahead and I'll do it. So it maybe took maybe like 6 months of messaging me and things like that. So I finally signed on in March of 2018. Booked a trip for my husband and I. We went to Hawaii, and that was, a nice little
Nice.
$300 commission. And then
Mm.
like I booked a friend's her 10-year anniversary trip to Hawaii and a friend's trip to Las Vegas. And I was like, you know what? I can do this,
Mhm.
And then in the end of 20, I said like the 2019, I started doing like bachelorette trips and started like, posting on Facebook about that. And that's when I started to get that bug like, oh, girl, you could really do this thing like for real, for real.
Yeah.
And I've always been the type like corporate America was like the goal, ultimate thing for me. Like I don't need my own business and I don't need this. And if I want to take time off, I can, just put in the request. Or if I want to go on a nice trip, I'll just win President's Club. And that would be, how I get to go away on somebody else's dime. And started to realize though, like, no, you actually like this. So
Mhm.
2019, I made the decision to start, doing weddings. I had went to two destination weddings, in one in 2016, one 2017. And I thought about, I was like, well, if you really want to be successful, if, getting out of corporate America and doing this full time is what you really like want to do, you got to start doing bigger trips, because like a
Yeah.
$200 commission here, 500 here, that's not going to supplement or replace a six-figure income. So you got
Mhm.
to figure out a way what's going to work for you. And then I enjoyed the destination weddings, and I was like, hey, let me look there. And that's how I took the path at the end of 20, perfect timing, right? End of 2019, 2020.
Jeez.
Like, I'm gonna do destination wedding.
Oh my gosh. It's like watching a movie and knowing what's going to happen. I'm like, oh,
Right.
oh.
So then, Stephanie, I guess from there, tell us a little bit, like, did you start weddings first and then get into Playbook? Did you get into Playbook and then do weddings? Like, how did that journey look?
Yes. So 2020, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start doing weddings. And I got into that big mail order bride Facebook group.
Oh gosh. Yes.
And then I'm just selling myself. I'm like, oh, I'll do it. I can do it. And so that's how I found actually like my first 5 destination weddings. I found them in that group. Like,
Oh, good for
they
you.
reached out to me. Thank you. And look, I'm no longer in the group. I'm just gonna
I think we've all had our turn of getting kicked out of that one.
yeah. But yeah, so no longer in the group. But that's like my first 5. And then what ended up happening was it was December 2020. And I was on Facebook one night and I saw this ad about a master class. And I was like, who is this? And first of all, Facebook, why are y'all? So how am I, seeing this? And I watched Will's ad and I was like, I need to look into this. And so
Mhm.
I paid, I think it was like $99 for that one class. And then so let me just rewind a little bit, because this was like the end of 2020, but November 2020, I met a travel agent just commenting on a wedding planner's post on Facebook
Mm.
and or Instagram rather, and connected with a young lady who's an agent in Atlanta. And she and I were talking, like she convinced me to get my own IATA number. I went ahead and I applied for that and did all the things. And after I had, fast forward back into December and I had signed up for this master class, she's like, hey, have you heard of Will Medina? And I was like, I swear I just just like signed up for this class. And she was like, girl, well, in January, I'm doing like a one-on-one with him. She did like the 8-hour intensive with
Oh
him.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
so she was like, okay, so I'm gonna do this. You go ahead and join the playbook. And I was like, okay.
And here we
and
are.
and here we are.
4 years later. Okay, you don't have to share. Is that person still in the playbook? Or is
So
that person
she's not in the playbook. She's
okay.
not in the playbook. Her name is Shantae. She's in Atlanta.
Okay.
Um, and she did the 8 hours with Will, and I joined the playbook.
Nice.
So
So
that
you
was
guys were
like,
kind of trading off.
yes, so this is what we're learning and things like that. Because like at the same time, we both were just getting into vacation CRM. We
Mm.
both didn't know what in the hell we were doing with vacation CRM. I was like, you know what? I'm going back to test. I don't know this. But from her time with Will and then just being in the playbook, it helped both of us to understand, okay, this is the route we need to go. These are the things that we need to be doing, to be successful. And so I think it had to be like January or February of 2021 is when I officially started. And I kind of started like on an off cycle. I was
That's what I
doing the
wondered.
recordings. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
doing the recording. So, but when the next class launched, I was able to come in and do the live classes too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I always think that kind of works well. Like, yes, it's nice to join a new class when it launches and do everything from the beginning. But for the people who kind of come in mid-cycle, they almost get the best of both because you get all the time and to do it at your own pace. And then you
Right.
can pick up the course when it comes live. So you almost get it like twice, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you get to fill in some of the blanks, like as you were going along, you get to fill in some of the blanks when you're as part of the live one as well. Yeah. No, that makes sense. That's awesome. Then, so now you get into the playbook and you're doing the classes. What do you think some of your biggest takeaways were as you were kind of getting into the course?
So the biggest thing for me was getting my life together.
Just a small thing.
just the small things, because like what I admired so much, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, Will was off on Fridays, right?
He tried to take off on
He
Friday.
tried to take off on Fridays.
Yeah.
At that time, I was the one working at like 1 o'clock in the morning, right? That was me, like, the late nights, because I had a 2022 wedding in South Africa. And so I'm, emailing them at 1 because it's 8 o'clock in the morning, South Africa time. And so I was the one like, up super late working, not getting sleep. At the time, my oldest was 3 years old. So like we're trying to get him to bed. And then having to get up at, 6:30, 7 o'clock to get him ready for school and all of that. And that was like one of the biggest takeaways for me is like, wait, you don't work Friday? That's your time? Like, really? And I was like, you got to get your life together. You have to, because if you want to have balance, you got to set boundaries. And Will taught me that, like that was huge for me. That was really, really huge. So I'm not taking Fridays off yet, but Saturdays and Sundays, I'm with the family, just or with by myself when I get a chance, relaxing. So that was like one of the early takeaways for me. And then email marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will made me cancel MailChimp and sign on with ActiveCampaign. I wanted to be like Will. I mean, he was killing it and it's successful. And I was like, well, this is why you're here, right? Because you have somebody that's investing in you and helping you be where you want to be. So yeah, that was the next thing, like following in his trying to follow in his footsteps based on the teachings that he had.
Well, and sometimes you just need the example too. Like what you talked about with boundaries. The one thing that's so frustrating about travel is that we're also isolated. Like it's like everyone's isolated on their own and everyone's feeling like they're figuring this out on their own. And you like, I had this at the beginning before I found like a real community with the playbook is like, there has to be a better way. Like, surely everyone else is not doing this at 1 a.m. or not, working all hours of the day and, being that person that's on their phone all the time. Like sometimes you just need the example. And that's what I love about what you said is it was the community and Will's example that got you to see that there was a better way and it changed your life. Like it really did.
Y'all already know. I said, I don't know where I'd be without y'all. Y'all are my lifeline. Or
just even having the time, even if you don't take that Friday off, you have like time to work on your business versus in your business. Like it's just time set aside, which we all need to.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what your life looks like now compared to then. Then we were 1 a.m, we're working all hours, tell us a little bit about kind of what business looks like now, what you're doing.
Yes.
But before you answer that, sorry, one thing. You were still working your other job then when you started, right?
I got to tell y'all that story.
Okay.
Remember 2020 Twilight Zone. So I was working full-time 2020. in March, literally 2 days after the pandemic was announced, I was fired for the first time ever in my life.
I remember you
Fired.
saying this now.
Yeah, and I was like, I was on a rampage. I was on a rampage. Yeah, he doesn't ever want to see me in person, but not again. But like in the midst of trying, I'm gonna try not to get too personal, but in the midst of trying to like find a job, we were pregnant, and I'm like, okay, so I'm looking for a job now because I'm pregnant, and ended up finding a job. We were buying a house.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And then I ended up having a miscarriage. And so
Oh,
it was
sorry.
like, I can't now I'm like, I can't find a job. I had a job. I saw you from that job too, y'all, but that was a little later. But I know I'm corporate America. Look, that was God telling me this is not for you any longer. But so got fired, trying to find a job. This pandemic, everything is going crazy. I ended up being hired like with a diagnostic testing company, which is like perfect because this is like you need COVID testing and all this stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that job really wasn't me. Then found out I was pregnant, all the things, trying to buy a house. And then I applied for like over 200 jobs
Oh
in
my
in
gosh.
2020. Got to final rounds with interviews and everything like that, but just nothing was happening. And in the back of my mind, though, I'm telling myself like, this is your way out of corporate America. You keep trying to force it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you continue looking for a job. My husband still had a job. I was getting unemployment. We weren't struggling. I just felt like I need to go back to work. I need to go to work. Well, I decided, well, you're changing your travel business. You're wanting to go into destination weddings. This is the time that you reinvest in and rebuild your business, right? So I had a young lady who we went to the same college. She redid my website for me. So I'm like now more like group and wedding focused on my website. And then, still trying to be active in these little groups and posting more on social media. So I'm trying to figure out, just well, use what you have, while you can. You had to cancel a lot of trips, but still promote the business because this isn't going to last forever.
Mhm.
Right. So I had to keep reminding myself that. And so I just kept focusing on how can I focus on KT travel and more. So it was October of 2020, and there was a job that I really wanted. So I was in pharmaceutical sales. I don't know if I said that, but I was in pharmaceutical sales for total 10 years. And what happened? Oh, I applied for this position with the company that was selling like an infusion for sickle cell. And it was like an amazing job. I mean, I was going above and beyond trying to get this job because I didn't have the experience, but it was something I was really like super passionate about.
Yeah.
And then I didn't get the job.
Mm.
I cried. Like I was like full blown depressed, like
Oh.
crying. It
Well, and
was
you had
it
a
was
lot going on
horrible.
too.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So I think it just all like came crashing down. And then I was like, you know what? I talked to my husband about it. I'm like, hey, this thing is not working out for me. I can't find a job. I had ended up finding one and they fired me too. And it was just crazy. But I was like, I have this. And this is, actually going good. Like, because in 2021 we had like 5 weddings, and I'm like, I just got to keep hammering at this. Let me keep pushing, and I think that I can really do this. And then
Mhm.
so I did it full time. From there, went full time for 3 years before I went back to corporate America last year.
Mm.
So now tying back to Mario's question, you had this period of time where everything was chaotic in your personal life and professionally. It was just not ideal. Let's call it.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of chaos. And then you found this opportunity for these systems and these tools and this community to help you focus, and you
Yes.
went all in. And so now,
Yes.
what did life look like after you put some of those things into place? Like,
Ooh.
how did that change?
So I started finding me time again, time to
Yeah.
do things like, my husband and I actually gave me the travel and, flying my mom in to watch the boys. Well, actually, at the first time, it was just one boy. And then, eventually on to two boys. But, we were able to do things, for us
Mm.
again.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And everything like you guys motivated to like help like I could come to the Facebook group and say, hey guys, this is what I got going. And I've got responses, just like that, to either, help me understand that it's going to, this crazy situation is going to be okay. Here's how you handle it. Or, you know what, Stephanie, really good job, because sometimes you also need that motivation as well. And it was peaceful coming to the group and being able to get that, but then also too realizing that, well, you've been doing this for a while too, so you can actually give somebody, some feedback too, and that was like really awesome. So like the community, oh God, I can't say enough about the community, but we were able to take time for ourselves again, and then I was able to see how I could work smarter, not harder.
Mm-hmm.
That was a major thing for me, because then when I was pregnant with the second baby, it was like, you can't be up like this,
Yeah.
it's not going to be not, you're going to be able to sustain on all those things.
Burnout is real.
Yes. And then learning from you guys about getting an assistant, even, you that do it scared. I didn't think that I would ever be in a position where I'd be able to afford somebody, but because everything that I was learning that you guys, imparted in me, it was like, okay, you can forecast and see where you are, what you can afford, reach out and get an assistant.
Yep.
You're just like, you're definitely going to need it. I can't say that, like I took a whole 3 months off, after I had him in February of 2022, but I was able to say, okay, I'm not taking any new clients right now, because these weddings that I have going on, they're going to help, put food on the table and, keep the lights on and things of that nature. But I don't think I would have been able to even get to that point of being able to do that if it hadn't been for the group. Like, I took 2 weeks off in December 2021 because of the group. Like, you guys, the boundaries that you all set for yourselves, you learn, like, Stephanie, you don't have to work 24/7. You don't have to do that.
Life-changing.
Yes. Y'all, I tell you, I can't say enough.
I love how you went from like someone Facebook messaging you, you should be a travel agent, to a couple $100 commission here and there, figuring it out, to full-blown maternity leave, taking care of your family, taking vacations, doing things for yourself, just having a maternity leave where you can support yourself.
Right.
That's life-changing. And that now having not only an assistant to help you, but you're giving that person an opportunity for them and for their family and their goals. Like, it just keeps, it's like the gift that keeps giving. It just keeps paying forward in how you touch people's lives.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of the whole premise behind it, right? It's that community over competition that, that's even for you, that extends through your business now. So now you've built it. Now it's extending on to your team, and it keeps compounding like that.
Yep.
Oh, boundaries. Gotta love them. It's boundaries with like systems, right? Because you can't just have a boundary. You can't just be like, well, I'm not responding to this person.
Right.
Yeah. It has to be, well, I'm not responding to this person, and I have an autoresponder that tells them where they need to go and how they can help themselves. It's like a whole ecosystem that you set up so you can have that space and that time. And then you actually get to enjoy it. You're not like ignoring emails and then panicking about everything that waits for you on Monday morning. Like, there's a system in place for it.
Right. And, and sometimes like I'll still see an email, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can reply to that really quick. Let me just, send this message. But I'll say this, when I went back to work though, I found myself, okay, I need Saturday and Sunday, because Monday through Friday, I'm exhausted from being on the road all day, driving to these offices and all this stuff like that. So Saturday and Sunday is like Friday nights, and then Sundays actually were the days I was like, okay, well, let me work on this thing and work on that thing. And it, once again, it got to be entirely too much. And I'm like, why? I can't do this. I don't want to do this.
So you were full-time traveling, working the playbook systems, working, having all that in place. And then I know, because you've shared with me, you made a decision for your family to go back to corporate America, and then decided that maybe that still wasn't the place for you. You tested it out again. As much as you're comfortable, tell us about that.
Yes.
Life throws us curveball.
Yes. So we talked about that maternity leave, right?
Yeah.
Whew. So I wasn't taking on any new clients. I wasn't thinking about the impact that would have on
The
2023.
future.
Yep,
Yeah.
didn't think about that. I was just in the moment, because I'm like, hey, got this new baby. I don't, want him crying while I'm trying to hold a consultation, type thing. So I'm like, not taking any new clients. For 2023, I had one wedding in January, and then my next wedding wasn't until June.
That's a big gap in
So
getting paid.
yes,
Yeah.
tremendous. And it was hard. It was
Yeah.
hard. And I was like, I think I might have to go back to work, and I'm thinking like, okay, well, I'm in pharmaceutical sales. It's not that bad. I'm in the car all day. When I stop at an office, I can check my email, or before I go, while I'm sitting in an office waiting on a doctor, we just, we get paid to sit and wait pretty much in that job. I can check my email. I can send this. I was like, I bought an iPad so I can do consultations while I'm out. I'm like, I got this. I can do this. But I started to realize that this is not me anymore. I don't want to have to request PTO so that I can go to Mexico.
No, I'm
Oh,
laughing because Mario and I just had this conversation like 2 days ago. Someone threw me a job description. They're like, "Oh, I don't know if you would ever be interested for like a corporate job." And for like a half second, like literally like a half second, I was like, "Oh, 401k match." Like all these things. And then I was like, I'm ruined. I can't have a boss. I can't take PTO and have someone tell me what I can do and what I can't do. I love that that was your first thing because that's
yes.
how I would be too.
I would be in
Us.
HR so fast. They would have me in that chair in a heartbeat.
Well, I told y'all what happened. Well, I don't think I did tell y'all. No, I didn't tell y'all. So, for January, or save the date. I didn't. Okay. Okay. So here's what happened. I was like, after some months, because I threatened to quit that job like 3 times from
Yeah.
May to October. I was like, I'm out of here at this time. They was like, no, you got to get that commission check, so quit at this time. Then I was gonna quit at the end of I was gonna quit in October, and then my friends was like, no, you should stay until the end of the year, stay until December. Like, okay, I'm gonna stay until December. I was like, I just have to get out of this company. That's what my thought was.
Yeah.
Then I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a certification. I'm gonna try to do like I want to be a reimbursement manager. That was like my dream job before I got fired in 2020. I was like, yeah, I want to do what I need to do to be a reimbursement manager. And so I was like, in my head, I'm like, you're not gonna have the time for this for January, right? You're
Yeah.
not gonna have the time. It's like the third week of the year. Like you haven't accrued crap. Where you gonna get the hours from? So I was like, well, what's gonna happen is I'm gonna get a new job. I'm gonna turn in my 2 week notice, and then I'm going to have that period where it's like in between jobs. Because in pharma,
Oh, sure, sure.
if you quit and you're going to another company, like, oh, that's your last day. Like
Yeah.
they shut you down. So I'm
Yep.
like, I'm gonna have time. I didn't get a new job, but I was like, I'm taking this time off anyway because I'm going to save the date, and then I'm going to, impress you like this new hair. So I'm staying. Like I'm staying, right?
Mm.
So fast forward, we get our metrics are like average calls per day. So I was gone for 5 days, and so my average calls per day were like hella low. And my
Mhm.
manager was like, "Well, did you put in work for your time?" I was like, "Well, it gave me a red box. It gave me an error message."
Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Wow.
I wasn't missing that trip, y'all, because what I told myself is y'all can have layoffs, y'all can fire me, y'all can do whatever y'all choose, but my business has to still be here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This is my name. This
Yeah.
is my sweat and tears. Y'all can do what y'all want, but I'm gonna do what I have to do for this business, for KT Traveling More. Like, so if that's what y'all want to do, then I was like, okay, fine. Well, I had a wedding in March in St. Lucia. I went to that wedding. I did put in PTO for that one. I had time. But I was still trying to like backtrack and like see if I had enough hours to go back and put in, for that time in January. So, but he was like, well, you need to call HR and figure out. He's like, because I don't think you can take like unpaid time off. So come to find out that company doesn't allow you to take unpaid time off. I'm like, who does that?
Oh,
Because all
wow.
my other companies did. So I called HR and she was like, yeah. So it does show that you didn't have enough. I had 22 hours PTO. I didn't have 40 because come
Mhm.
to find out the company stopped doing floating holidays. That was my plan. Use the
Oh,
floating
I see.
holidays,
Okay.
but that I didn't have any. So she was like, yeah, and then just looking at the policies, it's punishable by termination. I'm like, oh, what? I was like, oh, okay. So I guess I'll be quitting
Mhm.
because you're not gonna fire me.
Yeah.
Oh my
You're
gosh.
not gonna fire me. So
Was
I
our
have
event worth it?
absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely, girl. Yeah, please.
I love this
Yes.
story.
So I when I got back from St. Lucia, I planned to but the thing is though, I planned on quitting, right? It was already there. I was like,
Yeah.
I can't
You
do
were
this
talking about it
anymore.
there in January.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, I can't do this anymore. This is just, it's not me. This doesn't serve me.
Yeah.
So I have to go. And so I just ended up quitting when I got back from St. Lucia instead of waiting to do it. No, and
You got that 3-year taste of freedom, of running
yes.
your own show, of calling your own shots, doing what you want to do. And you saw that it worked. You were bringing in clients. You were doing everything you needed to do. It's really hard to go back
It's so
to a job
hard. Oh
job.
my gosh. I mean, and I'm living testament. I tried it. I tried to,
So
just didn't do
Dude,
it.
but were you so much more confident the second time because you knew you had all these systems in place?
Yes, for
Yeah.
on that side of the house, yes. Only thing that was a little daunting, I guess, because like my husband's in transition. He was in accounting. Now he's finished today's his last day of his boot camp for cybersecurity. So
Nice.
he's gonna be looking for a new job. So it's like, okay, have you done what you need to do to be able to keep everything afloat until he gets a new job?
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so we had to have that talk, and I'm like, hey, these are the things I've got going. I always set my goal. I would say like by June of that year, I at least need to have 10 weddings booked for the following year.
Because you
Mhm.
need that pipeline. You
Yes,
have to know that that's
absolutely.
coming in.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, because I learned my lesson when I took maternity leave. Like, hey, you got to have these things in place when certain things come up and happen. Can you take that time off? You got to have that nest, right?
Yep.
So when I looked at it, and I was like, well, hey, I charge fees, so I know I'm going to make money on that end. And then coming up to it, when those weddings, if I have them booked and I've got weddings going, I'm like, we can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were able to, just sit down and say, yeah, you know what, go for it, girl, because you're miserable.
Yeah.
I was
It's well,
miserable.
when and it's really hard to keep your heart in something that and you weren't going to do a great job at that job because your heart wasn't in it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like the opportunity cost. That pipeline is so important. And I bet way back several years ago, I was a guest on Will's podcast when he had it. And this is what we talked about when I quit my full-time job. That was like the
Mhm.
light bulb that went off in my head. It's not about like, do I have enough clients to quit now? It's how do I have the time to build that pipeline? So 6 months from now, I can quit my job. So 9 months from now, I can quit my job. Like if you
Yeah.
didn't, it like literally hit me like a lightning bolt. I was like, oh my God, it's not about today. If I don't quit my job today, I don't have the time to get all these people in the door to build that
Yep.
pipeline. So you do
Absolutely.
have to take a little bit of a leap of faith and dive into it because if you don't, there's just not enough hours in the day to take care
Right.
of your family, to take care of yourself, to have a full-time job and build that pipeline for the future. It's just a cliff you have to leap off of
Right.
at some point and just trust that you have the support in place that it will work out.
Yes.
Well, and as a
Absolutely.
travel advisor, I feel like even successful business owners, and Ashley, I don't know if you feel the same way, but
Mhm.
I talked to you about this morning. Like my pipeline, even as a established business, I
Yeah.
still had that panic. 12 to 18
Oh,
months from
yeah.
now, what does it look like? Because that is where my eye is. Everything else under 12 months, it's already moving.
Yeah.
Like we're already there. It's
It's
12
done.
months
Like
out.
we were
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
at the beginning, 2024 is done.
It's
Like we are all
done.
working on next year now because we need that in place. And that's in some ways, you know, that doesn't get any easier. Like whether you've been doing this 3 years or 5 years or 10 years, like you're always keeping an eye on that like pipeline of that future. But what does get easier is knowing how to plan for it. Like, you know, because of the lessons that you were taught, like what's your number that you have to hit? How many weddings do you need to get there? How many, you know, what do you need to charge for a fee to fill in the gaps when there aren't people traveling? Like, you know, all those numbers now and can plan for it. If you were just starting from scratch with no one and no support and no community, you wouldn't have any of that. And
Right.
that would be scary.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Stephanie, before we jump into our infamous lightning round, that's just kind of one last question for you is business today. What does business today look like? How are we feeling?
Oh man. You have like those moments where you're like, man, I'm really doing this shit.
Yeah.
I'm really doing it. So it's been really, really good. We just had a wedding, finished traveling this week. We've got a wedding traveling out next week. May is nothing going on, but we've got, June, August, September, and our year is actually over early this year in October, but we pick right back up in February, and I'm on track. I've got my 10, actually I've got 12 for so far booked for 2025. Thank you.
Good for you.
So thank you. So it's on the right trajectory. One thing I did learn from the playbook as well is that you can't do everything. You can't be the assistant, the social media, the accounting, the this, the that, the third. So I'm in a place now where I have a CPA. I've had my assistant for almost 2 years. I have a social media manager. I even have a videographer.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Right?
We need that person.
Like my social media presence has grown, and
It
it's
is.
like I tell
It
myself
really
all the
has.
time,
And it's
thank you. I'm
great.
like, I tell myself like, just remember like the likes and things like that, those don't equate to business, but it's so good to see that I can finally have a post every day, Monday through Friday. And all I had to do was spend a few hours with the videographer on a Sunday once a month recording the content.
Yeah.
If it were up to me to try to do it myself, I couldn't.
Yeah.
I just absolutely could not. Like, even just the thought about it gives me anxiety. So I'm like, nope, you're in a position now where you can afford to hire the help. So let them help you. You're giving somebody else an opportunity to put food on their table, take care of their families. Don't try to hoard it all for yourself. So that's
And
where we are.
they're experts too, right? Like, just like the way we tell couples, you don't know what you're doing, let me do it for you. Sometimes we need to tell ourselves that, because like you said, you're not a CPA, like you're not a social media guru. You're not, like, you hire experts the way that we tell couples to hire us.
Exactly. So I let them do their thing, and I listen as if I'm the couple, listening to my expert advice at 100%. And it's just a blessing. It really, really is. It really, really is.
That makes me so happy. Okay, but I have a super nosy question. Is your MLM friend still in travel?
She is. So she actually is. She is.
Good for her.
So I ended up leaving that company in 20. I was there for a year, like a year and a half. And then I changed to another host in 2019. And then in 2020, I went and got my own IATA number. That was like the perfect time to do it. Like,
that's when I got mine too.
Yes, girl, because those restrictions were like nothing.
It was. Well, I feel like everyone was like, oh yeah, you want to work and travel here? Sure. Like nobody else.
Exactly. Just giving it away, child. Yeah, but she still is. So I don't book domestic trips or cruises. So I send all my cruise business her way.
Oh, nice.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's always good to have a partner in the industry that you can be like, here, take this. I know I can trust you to do things like I would,
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Ashley, any other questions before we jump into lightning?
No, I'm just so proud of you, Stephanie. Like, I just know, because I've seen you over the time that I've known you, just get more and more confident. Like that's like the word I would use to describe you. Like, you are so comfortable and confident in what you're doing. And I know it
Oh,
was a road to get there. Like, I know it was a road to get there.
oh,
And I
thank
think you're
you.
exactly where you need to be. And it happened,
Don't make me cry, girl.
it all works out for a reason. But I love that you got a couple of opportunities to like prove it to yourself, right? It's like what you said at the beginning. It wasn't for you, but you kept trying to force it. And then
Mm-hmm.
finally you just got to see, okay, this isn't for me. I just need to trust myself and do it. And you did, which
Yes.
is great.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Love it. All right,
All
now we're going
right.
to ask you a bunch of nosy questions.
Bunch of nosy questions. That's we always like to say, don't overthink it. Say the first thing that comes to your head.
Okay.
This is just boom, boom, boom questions. All right.
Okay.
It's all right. So I'll kick us off. It's if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Mexico.
Yeah, good call. What's your favorite swear word or curse word? However you say it, people say it
Okay.
differently.
Can I say the word?
Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
you can.
absolutely.
And I say it just like that.
It's a good one.
It's also ours. What is your least favorite word?
My least favorite word. I try to stay away from I can't. Can't.
Mhm.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's
I even like how she said it. I try to stay away from. I
uh,
can't.
mhm.
Oh gosh. What's your love language? Do you know that? Have you read those books? Or
I know it. So I have become more of a words of affirmation
oh.
person.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Kind of along the same lines, what turns you off?
I know I said I can't. I try to stay from I can't, but I can't stand when people are loud and wrong.
Loud
That is
and
a
wrong.
great way to say that.
Just loud and wrong. You can't, how you gonna be both? Just take your dumbness to the corner and be quiet somewhere.
But those are the people that are the most confident about it too. You
Mhm.
know, like there is no second guessing anything. They are
Ah,
confident in their wrongness.
oh, ugh. Yeah, that bothers me.
Oh my gosh. What's your favorite, I'll say hotel or destination that you've ever been to?
Okay, so my favorite hotel is Excellence Oyster Bay.
Oh, that's a good one. It is
I
beautiful.
I still can't find as many, like, I mean, I haven't been to like a whole ton of places, but I still haven't found anywhere that for me has matched that energy. And the crazy thing is I went there in May of 2021 when they reopened
Hmm.
right after COVID.
Hmm.
They were still like fresh because they didn't get their big launch like they wanted to in
Yeah.
2020. Man, that's my spot.
It's a
That's
fun
my
one.
resort. Yes,
The people there, there's a whole vibe there. Like
it
it's,
is.
yeah.
I've never been.
It
I'm gonna have to check
is.
Oh,
this out.
Mario, we should
You
go.
have to, yes. But I
The
would say my
lobby
favorite,
bar, it's good. Look at her face.
yes, yes. And you got to go to that restaurant that's right outside of the lobby before the amphitheater
Oh, yeah,
area.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, so good, so good.
Oh,
Mm.
I'm getting hungry now.
Um, oh yeah. But my favorite destination though has become St. Lucia.
Mm.
Really?
Hmm.
It's, well, that's a good one.
The people, oh my God, they have my heart.
I
Oh,
haven't been there. I need to.
Oh, you got to go.
I know. I
The
just haven't
people.
made it. There's so many places. I haven't made it there
I
yet.
know.
playbook trip. Um, all right. This is an easy one. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Dogs. Nice.
Okay. When you're at that lobby bar or on the beach, what's your cocktail of choice?
So no matter where I am, it's a Jameson lemon drop.
Ooh. Oh, you had those in Isla.
Yeah,
I
that's
remember we were talking about
Mm-hmm.
ordering these. Yeah. The women by the beach brought them to you. I remember them.
Yep.
I gotta
That's my
try
drink.
that. The martini bar. You had those at the martini bar too. It's yeah.
Yep.
Try that.
This was not meant to be an indictment on Stephanie's drinking. Oh, you had those there. Oh, you had those there too. You had those everywhere.
Listen, coming from us, there's no worries here. There's no judgment here.
Well, I've never heard anyone order one. So that's why it like caught my ear because it was so different. Now I'm gonna try one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe
it's
tonight.
so good.
Maybe
Treat
This
yourself.
tonight.
one,
Treat yourself.
this one's always a
Uh,
fun one for people to admit to. So,
oh
what's
yeah.
the biggest travel mistake that you've made for yourself?
Y'all don't want to know. Why? Traveling with kids.
Yeah,
Just in general,
yeah.
Leave them home. Leave them
Leave them
home until they old enough to.
until they can sit at the lobby bar with you.
Well, she has little ones though. She has little, so you're in that kind of sucky part. Like, because how old are your kids now?
5 and 2.
Yeah,
And
it's
that 2-year-old, Lord.
well, and your 5-year-old probably has a ton of energy.
He's actually not as bad. It's like not until like he has to get up and go to the bathroom that, once he has his tablet, he's good. But the 2-year-old, he wants to run up and down the plane. He wants to kick the seat in front of him. He wants to stand up and look at the people behind you and talk to them. And I'm like, bro, you need to chill out. And he does not want to chill out. Yeah. Leave the
Well,
kids at home if you can.
I
I'm
love
like,
that.
that's
That's like
terrible.
a whole category. Just traveling with kids is my worst mistake. I love it.
Nah, but okay, okay, I'll answer that truthfully. So remember I ran out of clothes. The biggest travel mistake is not packing enough.
Yeah.
I'm not good at that. I'm still learning how to travel for extended periods of time because I'm used to just like a 3 to 4 night. I think that might have been like my first time traveling out of the country for like a whole week. So
Yeah.
learning how to pack, that was probably like my biggest mistake, not packing enough. And then just taking use of the like facilities, like how they'll do your laundry and things like that. So if you're gonna pack light, then make sure you plan or pack enough that you can
Yeah.
still do laundry. And because you taught me that part, I'm gonna be here. Let them wash and then, just wear it because who cares? You're on vacation. It's just like
Yeah.
you're at work or yeah, you're at work, not really on vacation, but packing. That's one of my biggest travel mistakes. And I always forget something. Never fails.
Oh, yeah, that
Never
happens.
fails.
The laundry thing is tricky because you have to allow time for it and you have to do it so they have time to get it back to you like that.
Yes.
And you have to plan for that day. So it took me a while to figure that out. But once I got that down, then whatever, if you're going for a 2-week trip, you only bring 7 days worth of clothes and you do laundry. And then you could pack in a carry-on, which is easier.
Yeah. Yeah. So
That's,
I've gotta get better at that for sure.
I love it. What is on your bucket list? What's left on Stephanie's list?
What's left on my bucket list? I feel that as travel wise, there's still places that I've got to get to. I've got to get to other parts of Mexico.
Yeah.
I had to get to other parts of Mexico. And I do want to I want to go to Africa.
Oh,
That's one of my bucket lists because I have friends that live there that have moved from the US and they live there now. So I do want to, visit. And then I want to do different places like Colombia, Portugal. I want to just not do all the common things that everybody does. I do feel like I need to, while I have the chance, explore a little bit more and try some different places. I feel like Colombia, Portugal, those are two on my list, and in Africa, of course.
yeah. Portugal. This is random, but Mario, would we ever for a playbook retreat do a Portugal river cruise? There's ones that are just Portugal.
Possibly.
Why not?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not not off the table.
I feel like this group is pretty good about, do we want to do this? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
look, we are
Go.
down for everything.
Because we can all leave and feel comfortable doing that. And that, I say that as a joke, but it's true. We're all in a place where you're like, you know what? I have a plan for that and it will be fine.
Yep, you're so right.
Absolutely. Well, Stephanie, we want to thank you so much for joining us today. It was
Oh,
amazing
thank
getting to sit
you.
down and chat with you. I love hearing your story. I knew your story, but I love hearing it again.
It's a good one.
For everyone else listening, this is some of the stories that we like to highlight in the group and make sure that people know that, we're not doing this just to be out there with another course. We're here to like I think we said it a couple times today. I don't know if it was now or when, but high tides raise all ships, right? It's bringing us all together and making sure that we're all growing together, that we all have the chance to feed off of each other and learn from each other. And this is just a huge shining success story that we love to.
Oh, I love you guys so much.
We love
I
you.
really do.
We love you too.
Thank you for doing this. I know it's
No
a busy day, but
problem.
thank you.
And thank y'all for inviting me. This was truly an honor. It really, really was.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you all have a great day. Everyone listening, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Running a travel business may have its challenges, but with a dash of humor, the right tools, an amazing community, and a lot of wine, success awaits us all. Raise a glass with us and toast to your remarkable journey.
Don't forget, if you're ready to take the next step in your travel career, one where you can focus on developing your niche, attracting leads, converting them into new clients, and automating your systems, you can build the business of your dreams. If you're ready, join us in the Playbook Inner Circle at jointheplaybook.com. We can't wait to see you inside.